Hello and welcome to topic number 2 on the module of strategic management. This particular topic we will call it strategic analysis. In the discussion, by the end of the lesson or by the end of this particular video, you will be able to understand the benefits of strategic analysis. You will also be able to understand the types of strategy analysis and also be able to explore the importance of strategy analysis. And finally, you will be able to understand different steps in competitor analysis. Now, we begin by asking ourselves what is strategic analysis? And we are saying it is the process of analyzing the environment within which the organization operates. And this particular analysis is very, very important to ensure that the decision that we will take as a firm will be keen to ensure that we have smooth flow of activities in the organization. Of course, when we talk about the analysis of the environment, it is simply the surrounding in which the business operates. And the reason for doing this particular analysis is that we want to ensure that we are doing everything right. Once we analyze the environment, we can also be able to understand different risks that our firm is subjected to, and we get to know what to do and how to respond to issues that are going to affect us as a firm. So in strategy analysis is very, very important in strategic management, because once we are aware of the kind of environment that we are operating in, then even as we develop our strategic plans, as we develop our high level plans like we defined them in our topic number 1, then we will stand guided and we will operate in an environment that we are aware of. Of course, as we continue, you are going to see we have the internal environment and the external environment. And the external environment will be majorly discussed here in this particular topic. So we are going to see what really happens in that kind of an environment. So as a strategic manager, as a person who is very good in strategic management and planning, environmental analysis is a discussion that you cannot afford to forego, because it is very, very important to the success of the organization. Now, once we analyze the environment, once we analyze the surroundings that our farm exists, we are bound to experience certain benefits. And number 1 is sustainability, thus enabling an organization to have long-term plans. So sustainability means the continuous running of an entity, because everything has been put in place. The organization is able to support itself with the resources that it is gaining, and so on and so forth. And the other one is organizations develop a holistic approach to all organizational strategies. So once you analyze, or once you do strategic analysis, you can have a wholesome approach into ensuring that the strategies that you put in place are achieved. And the other one is that it will enable organizations make the proper decisions in terms of hiring, in terms of resources, or what resources do we deploy to what organization, and so on and so forth, or what aspects of our strategic agenda. And finally, it is going to enable organizations to take advantage of opportunities, hence realize organizations' growth. So we will also, in the discussions around strategic management, we will emphasize on the SWOT analysis method that is key into helping us identify our opportunities. And once we identify these opportunities, maybe for growth we can take advantage of them, invest in areas that maybe we had not invested in, and we are able to realize organizational growth. Now, we have what we call the types of strategic analysis. So we analyze being guided by undertaking, number one, external analysis, and also undertaking internal analysis. When we talk about external analysis, it simply means that we examine an organization's external environment and its effect on the strategy development. Remember, like I've said, for external analysis or the external aspects that you are going to identify, we do not have as a firm control over them, but it is important to know that they exist so that we know how we can be able to address them. In case some of them are risks, how we can be able to deal with them and tackle them. And that's why we are saying the main purpose of external analysis is to be able to look at the risks that our firm or an industry is going to experience. And once we look at these risks, then we are able to know what to do in order to ensure that these risks do not take toll and do not take advantage of us or defeat us. So when we talk about PESTEL analysis or the external environment, then we are guided by the abbreviation of PESTEL. Whatever we are calling as a PESTEL is an abbreviation, and each of the letters is discussed on a slide on its own. So you will now be able to understand in broad terms what is this that you are calling PESTEL analysis. So the P is on the political environment. And we are saying this environment is key because it influences business decision. So, and when we are looking at this environment, we are looking at government agencies. This could be government organizations, corporations, for example, corporations in charge of tax collection. What are the policies that they have put in place? Political parties. Remember, political parties are the vehicles that take people into the high office or into presidency and other positions within the state. So that particular environment will favor or not favor the firms depending on what that particular firm is seeking to do or adopt. So political parties are very, very important, and also pressure groups that influence and control various individuals and organizations in a society. So examples of those pressure groups would be unions, trade unions. What are they saying in terms of workers? Some would be, for example, be agitating for more payment of their staff. So are you able to do it? And what is the effect of maybe increase in wages and salaries to your firm and general income? And we are winding up the political environment by saying that once a government changes, there is also a change in attitude, a change in preference, a change in objectives and priorities. So the question that firms need to ask themselves around the political environment is the change in government favoring us as organizations and firms, or it is not favoring us? That's a question that we can be able to ask ourselves, and we can be able to answer ourselves by looking at what the government is doing in terms of policies that favor businesses, policies that favor the growth of businesses, import and export policies, and so on and so forth. Then we have the economic environment. We are saying when we talk about the economic environment, we are looking at the conditions of the market. We are looking at the economic policies of the government, economic systems of the government, And when we talk about the economic systems, you're also looking at what is the government saying in terms of taxation, what are the levels of foreign trade activities, the money market, and so on and so forth. So the economy is a key driver in terms of strategy analysis. And by analyzing the economy, we can be able to now, as a firm, understand whether we are on the right track in terms of business, or we need to tighten our muscles because of things like inflation. When we are going to borrow, we also have to be cognizant of things like interest rates and how they are going to affect our businesses. Then the cultural environment. This can also be called social cultural environment. So it is the abbreviation letter S. And we are saying when you talk about this kind of an environment, we are looking at individuals and groups in the society, individual beliefs. When you talk about social, anything social is related to the people. So social cultural environment. When we are doing strategic analysis, we seek to know how will people's culture, our values affect our firm or how we do business. So people's values and norms are passed through institutions like family, schools, colleges, and religion. So through understanding individual cultures, as a firm, we are able to know how is it that we are going to serve our customers better. Mm. Uh, for example, when you go to the Indian community, for example, we do not do any food related to meat or any food that has beef. So if you are a farm that deals with those kind of products, you are sure that culture is going to define on your location of business, because you cannot set it up in an Indian community because they are not consumers of those kind of products. A major example also, or a common example that is given is Muslims and pork. They do not consume pork. So having a strategy for a pork business within a Muslim dominated community, it means that business is not going to do well, because those will not be your clients because of their religion or their social cultural environment. When you talk about social cultural environment, also religion, which is not indicated here, is part of the factors that we can be able to think about. And then also we have the technological environment. When you talk about the technological environment, we are talking about the changes in technology and how they will have an impact on a company's business. And then we go ahead and say everybody or every firm now, it's very, very important to make to adapt to new technologies. A case in example is what is happening in the banking world currently. The banking world has now adopted automated teller machines that are able to perform what human beings are doing. They are able to receive cash deposits, they are able to receive check, they are able to issue cash, and that is technology. Every customer now is looking at uh, how long are they going to spend in the bank, and they want to save time. So if there is a technology here that has come, you find most institutions have now adopted that technology so that to be able to save customers time. So as firms, as organizations, we need to be aware of what is happening around us in terms of technology. What technology can propel our business to the next level? Then, as we do our strategic analysis, we can be able to identify this technology and see what we can be able to do to adopt it as part and parcel of our organization. Then we have the ecological environment, or what we just call environmental factors. And these factors relate to natural resources like land, water, minerals. These resources are going to suffer a number of challenges. So those people that are in the real estate business, for example, they are looking at land as a major factor of production for them to be able to put in or develop these houses and real estate. Then land is key for them. And the question is now, what is the cost of the land? Where is the land located? Uh, how well can we translate or make that land viable? What kind of housing infrastructure are we going to put there? Do we have facilities like water? Because every tenant is looking for houses that have water and so on and so forth. So we are saying these environmental factors are subject to erosion of natural resources. They are subject to pollution of resources like air and water. And we are emphasizing that farms should take necessary measurements to control erosion and pollution of natural resources. So that is what we intend to do to ensure that this issue that we have highlighted here on what would affect the natural or the ecological environment is not affected, that we can make corrective actions to reduce erosion and so on and so forth. Sorry, and finally is the legal environment. So the legal environment is basically focusing on the laws of the land and how are these laws going to affect our farms and our businesses. So it is very, very important as we do strategic analysis to understand laws when we are setting up a particular business. What laws govern the kind of business that we intend to run? For example, it would be a school. What law is going to govern the running of that school? The other one is legal support is important to businesses, and this legal support is key in terms of ensuring we protect farms by defining and preventing unfair competition. So we need to ensure we are protected by law. Uh, you go to some countries and they have organizations in charge of competition. Any unfair competition will be flagged out, and that's very, very key for businesses. And also, the legal environment is key in order to protect consumers from unfair business practices. And anything that would be deemed to be unfair business practice, the legal environment is in place so that we can ensure that it does not happen. Now, another method that will assist us to do strategy analysis away from the pestle analysis is what we call the industry analysis. And we are saying this kind of a method is going to enable a firm to understand its position compared to other firms in the industry. And we are saying a firm is able to identify opportunities and threats, and it is able to enable or it is able to obtain an idea of the current and future scenario. So we generally look at the industry that we are in. If it is a school that we are running, that is the education sector, we need to understand what is our position in that particular market and what is it that we need to do so that we remain competitive in the market. Now, industry analysis is very important, and it is important because number one, a farm is able to understand its environment, so you are able to understand the area in which you are operating, and also it will also help a farm to identify investment opportunities in that particular environment. What areas can you be able to venture in? And also it helps a farm understand different market conditions, and also it will finally help a farm focus on demand and supply of her products. And then we have another method we call competitor analysis. And this particular method will enable a firm to gather information about its competitors. And there is need to constantly be able to compare your products, prices, channels, and promotions with those of close competitors. Remember, as firms and businesses, you do not operate in a vacuum. You are not alone in that particular market. So, what really happens is that you will need people, you will need individuals, or you will also need to look at what other people are doing. What kind of products have they developed recently? What is their packaging like? What is their pricing? Channels of distribution, and so on and so forth, and also the promotion strategies that they are adopting. This will enable you to improve on the aspects that we have just mentioned in terms of your company now. And also, it is important because it will enable you launch better marketing campaigns, better distribution channels, and so on and so forth. Now, when you are doing competitor analysis, we are guided by a number of steps. And the first one is to identify a company's competitors. Remember, you cannot call everybody your competitor. Number one, they have to be offering maybe similar products and services. So you need to identify them now. Develop a list of these competitors. And the other one is determine competitor objectives. What are their objectives? Uh, and what are their strategies? You may have similar products, but the strategies that you have or the objectives that you have are different. So you can be able, for example, to look at those companies that have competitor objectives that are similar to yours. Then you also identify the strategies that they are using in the market. For example, what we have just talked about, the promotion strategies. And also, once you do that, you evaluate their strengths and weaknesses, and finally, estimate the competitors' reaction patterns. How do they respond in the market, and what exactly and how exactly do they go ahead with the response? And we also do internal analysis as another strategic analysis method. And we are saying this particular method involves a company's internal aspects to identify failures and areas of opportunities. And this kind of analysis will help any firm to decide on how to formulate their corporate strategy. We have just mentioned about corporate strategy in our topic number one, and how to formulate and implement them. So, internal analysis is also very, very important. Now, when you are doing internal analysis, we can, for example, use a tool like the SWOT analysis. And when we are using the SWOT analysis, we are seeking to identify the strengths. We need to look at the strengths. Those are just aspects that are positive to a firm. What is it that you are doing best? You can identify that. Then weaknesses are the negative competencies. What are your areas of weaknesses? What is it that you are not doing right? And also opportunities. There are favorable circumstances or situations which the external environment offers or provides to the organization. So when we are talking about opportunities, we are looking at areas that we can explore as an organization. So when you are doing strategic analysis, we can look at opportunities for growth. Maybe it is at an industry level, it is at new products level, or new markets that we need to explore. All those will be opportunities, and also new customers in the market. And also, finally, on SWOT analysis is the threats, unfavorable situations which the external environment provides to the organization. So once we identify these unfavorable threats as strategic people, or strategic managers, we can now be able to identify how do we deal with these threats. Some of these threats would be, for example, be competition. How can we deal with this competition? We can be able to ask ourselves this particular question. This is an example of a SWOT analysis method done for a particular organization. For example, when we look at the strengths, we would be talking about innovative product offering. We would also be talking about our strengths being us able to have affordable prices. We will also talk about loyal current users or customers. Now, when we talk about weaknesses in this particular example, case study, we could identify issues like not enough brand recognition. Maybe, yes, we are in the market, but we are not very much known. And then also uh, not resources spent on marketing, or little or no resources are spent on marketing. You can be able to know what to do. And then the other one is opportunities, expand social media presence. That's an opportunity for us to take advantage of. Maybe our social media platforms are silent, and also work with industry influencers. We have social media influencers that are now able to push products to the next level. We can work with them. Those are opportunities that we can explore as a firm. And also threats would be competition. I have just mentioned that when we were looking at our previous slide. Supply chain challenges. Maybe we are dealing with products and we are unable to get them to customers, maybe because of poor roads and availability of transport facilities, and so on and so forth. And then also the tough job market. So this is just an example. You can be able to do a SWOT analysis of your firm. It may not necessarily be exact these particular points, but we need to be able to see a scenario or a case like this one that we have just looked at here. And then another internal analysis method, then we have what we call the value chain analysis. And we are saying in this analysis, it involves looking into all the activities in a company's value chain. And once we look at all the activities, this one is meant to understand areas of improvement with the value chain, or what we can be able to do. Once we look at a company's value chain, then we can look at areas that we can work on. And the key focus, of course, is to be able to ensure that each step of the value chain is very, very important, and it adds or is it able to add or reduce the value of your product. Once we do value chain analysis, we are bound to benefit, or once we adopt this strategy, we are bound to benefit. And this benefit will come in terms of improved customer relationships. Once we have identified, for example, wastages along the value chain, then maybe we can cut down those wastages and improve on them. The other one is ensure a firm's processes are standardized. So we want to have an equal way of doing things, a standardized method. And then also value chain analysis is key in terms of enabling the firm to gain competitive advantage. When you gain competitive advantage, you have an advantage over other players in the market. And for you to have competitive advantage, of course, there must be something unique that you are offering to your clients, that you are telling them my product is better than any other product because of A, B, C, D. It may be in terms of quality, it may be in terms of the packaging, and very many other aspects that customers look at. And finally, is that value chain analysis is going to help us reduce any wastages within our firm's processes. So we have said we are identifying the entire value chain, the entire manufacturing process. So wherever we identify that there are wastages that are happening, it could be wastages also in terms of time, wastages caused by individuals or employees moving around the organization. So once we identify that, we are able to, once we deal away with those wastages, then the organization or the firm is better able to realize a firm's profits. So that brings us to the end of our topic on strategic analysis. I believe that from this discussion, you will be able to expound your knowledge into understanding these methods and how they work for the benefit of the organization and for the benefit of ensuring strategic analysis has taken place effectively.